Discovery at the Edge. The detection happened on a Tuesday morning when most of Titan Observatory's staff were still nursing their coffee. Dr. Sarah Chen sat alone in the monitoring station, watching the endless stream of data from the deep space array. She almost missed it. A brief fluctuation in the readings that lasted barely 3 seconds. Sarah set down her mug and leaned forward. The anomaly appeared again, stronger this time. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, isolating the signal pattern. What she saw made her breath catch. "Director Morrison to Ops immediately," she called into the comm system. 20 minutes later, the observatory's senior staff crowded around Sarah's station. Director James Morrison studied the readouts with growing concern. "How big did you say this object was?" Morrison asked. "Based on gravitational displacement, approximately 800 kilometers in diameter," Sarah replied. "But that's not the strange part. Look at its trajectory." The holographic display showed the object's path. It wasn't following standard orbital mechanics. The thing was decelerating, adjusting course with precision no natural body could achieve. "It's artificial," Morrison concluded. "And it's coming here." 3 days passed before Earth's governments agreed on a response. The exploration vessel Pioneer launched from lunar orbit with a crew of 12 specialists. Commander Marcus Reyes stood on the bridge, watching the mysterious object grow larger on their screens. "Still no response to our signals," reported Communications Officer Lisa Park. "What about radiation?" Reyes asked. "Nothing harmful," said Chief Science Officer Dr. Elena Vasquez. "Whatever powers it, the emissions are unlike anything in our database." Engineer Kenji Nakamura studied the sensor data. Something about the readings felt familiar, though he couldn't explain why. As they drew closer, he experienced an odd sensation, like a half-remembered song playing at the edge of his consciousness. "Visual contact in 30 seconds, Park announced. When they finally saw it, silence fell over the bridge. The ship, for it was undoubtedly a ship, defied their expectations. Its hull was smooth as polished stone, colored deep blue-black like the space between stars. The surface seemed to shift subtly, as if alive. "My God," Elena whispered. "It's beautiful." The vessel was cylindrical, tapering at both ends. Strange patterns covered its surface, not decorations but functional elements that pulsed with faint energy. As the Pioneer circled it, they found what appeared to be docking ports. "No signs of life," Elena reported, "but the ship is definitely active. Internal power signatures suggest it's been running on minimal systems for, well, the computers can't calculate how long." Reyes made his decision. "Prepare boarding team. Elena, Kenji, you're with me. Lieutenant Torres, you have the con." The seal docking was surprisingly easy. The alien ship's system seemed to recognize their approach, guiding them in with invisible fields. As the airlock sealed, Kenji felt that strange sensation intensify. Inside, lights activated at their presence. The corridors were vast, built for beings roughly human-sized. The walls bore intricate symbols that seemed to move when viewed directly. "Atmosphere is breathable," Elena announced, checking her scanner. "Oxygen-nitrogen mix almost Earth normal." They removed their helmets cautiously. The air tasted crisp, with a subtle electric charge that made their skin tingle. "Look at these symbols," Kenji said, approaching a wall panel. As his hand neared the surface, the symbols brightened. "They're responding to—" The moment his fingers touched the panel, pain exploded through his skull. Images flooded his mind, star systems being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, and throughout it all, ships like this one traveling between worlds. "Kenji!" Elena caught him as he staggered back. "I'm okay," he gasped. I don't know what I saw. History, maybe. This ship is old, incredibly old." They pressed deeper into the vessel. Each chamber revealed new wonders, gardens of crystalline, plants that hummed with energy, pools of liquid that defied gravity, machines whose purpose they could only guess at. Finally, they reached what had to be the command center, a vast spherical room dominated by a central dais, surrounded by floating panels of light. As they entered, The ship seemed to wake fully. A figure materialized from light itself, humanoid but idealized, neither male nor female, with features that seemed to shift between familiar and alien. "Welcome," it said in perfect English. "I am the custodian of this vessel. You have awakened me from a very long sleep." Reyes stepped forward. "I'm Commander Marcus Reyes of Earth. We detected your ship entering our system. Who are you? Where did you come from?" The figure smiled sadly. "I am an echo of those who built this ship, the architects. They seeded life across the galaxy millions of years ago. This vessel is one of their greatest achievements. A Class 111 world ship, capable of nurturing entire civilizations." "And the architects?" Elena asked. "What happened to them?" "They transcended physical existence, but not before ensuring their legacy would endure. They left these ships as gifts to their children, the species they had cultivated across the stars." Kenji felt drawn to the central dais. "Why did I see visions when I touched the wall?" The custodian turned to him, its expression curious. "Because you carry their mark in your genetic code. Somewhere in your ancestry, the architects touched your bloodline. You are, in a very real sense, their heir." Before anyone could respond, alarms began sounding. The Pioneer's emergency beacon was activating. "Commander," Torres's voice crackled through their comms. "We have company. Multiple ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're surrounding Earth." The custodian's form flickered. "They have found you." "The Dominion Empire, those who seek to claim what was never theirs." On the screens that materialized around them, they watched massive vessels position themselves above Earth's major cities. Each ship was angular and aggressive, bristling with weapons. A broadcast echoed through the command center. The speaker was tall and imposing, with skin like burnished copper and eyes that held no warmth. "People of Earth," the figure announced. "I am Supreme Commander Zextar of the Dominion Empire. We have come for the architect vessel you have discovered. You will surrender it to us immediately, along with all data you have collected. Comply, and your species will be allowed to continue its existence. Resist, and we will take what is ours by force." The transmission ended. Reyes looked at the custodian. "Can this ship defend itself?" "The world ship has capabilities beyond your understanding," the custodian replied. "But it requires an architect heir to fully activate its systems. The question is not can it defend, but will you accept the responsibility that comes with such power?" Outside, the Dominion ships began to move. Time was running out. The Inheritance War Earth's military response was swift but futile. Fighter jets scrambled from bases worldwide, only to find their systems failing as they approached the Dominion vessels. In New York, London, Beijing, and dozens of other cities, smaller craft descended from the massive ships. In the United Nations building, world leaders watched helplessly as Dominion ground forces established perimeters around their landing sites. The aliens made no aggressive moves yet, but their message was clear. Earth was outmatched. General Patricia Hayes stood in the Pentagon's Situation Room, studying reports from across the globe. "They're not attacking," she told the president, via secure link. "They're waiting." "For what?" the president asked. "For us to give them what they want." Back on the world ship, now designated Legacy 1, Kenji struggled to process what the custodian had revealed. The architects hadn't just seeded life across the galaxy. They had guided it, nurtured it, preparing species for an eventual awakening. Dominion rose to power 1,000,000 years after the architects transcended, the custodian explained. They discovered architect technology and used it to build an empire, but they could never fully access the deepest systems. Those required the genetic markers the architects left in their chosen species. "And humans have these markers?" Elena asked. "Not all humans, but some bloodlines carry stronger connections than others." The custodian gestured to Kenji. "Your ancestors were among the architect's final projects before transcendence. They saw great potential in your species." Commander Reyes paced the command center. "What exactly can this ship do?" The custodian waved its hand, and the chamber transformed. They stood now in a representation of the ship's true structure. layer upon layer of interconnected systems. The world ship contains the creation matrix, a system capable of manipulating matter and energy at the quantum level. It can terraform worlds, create life, even bend space-time within limits. The architects used it to nurture civilizations, but in the wrong hands. It becomes a weapon, Reyes finished. The most powerful weapon in the galaxy. The Dominion has conquered worlds for millennia seeking a fully functional world ship. This is the last one. On Earth, Supreme Commander Zextar grew impatient. Standing in his command ship above North America, he initiated a demonstration. Energy fields deployed from the Dominion vessels, interacting with Earth's magnetosphere. Within minutes, weather patterns began to shift. Hurricanes formed over empty oceans. Earthquakes shook regions far from tectonic boundaries. The aurora borealis appeared over equatorial regions, painting the sky in unnatural colors. Time grows short. Zextar broadcast to Earth's leaders. 24 hours remain. Deliver the world ship's location and access codes, or watch your world tear itself apart. General Hayes contacted Legacy 1 directly. Whatever you're planning to do, do it fast. They're tearing our planet apart. Kenji stood before the central dais, his hand hovering over the primary interface. The custodian watched him solemnly. Once you begin this process, there's no returning to your old life, it warned. You will become the ship's pilot, its consciousness, merging with yours. The power will be extraordinary, but so will the responsibility. And if I don't? Kenji asked. Earth falls. The Dominion gains the world ship. Countless civilizations suffer under their expanded rule. Kenji looked at his companions. Elena nodded encouragingly. Reyes put a hand on his shoulder. Whatever happens, we're with you, the commander said. Kenji placed his palm on the interface. This time the connection was immediate and overwhelming. The ship's systems flooded into his consciousness. Navigation, weapons, the creation matrix itself. He understood now why the architects had been so careful with this technology. Throughout the world ship, systems that had slept for eons blazed to life. The hull's surface patterns shifted from subtle pulses to brilliant displays of energy. Deep within its core, the creation matrix awakened. On Earth, Dominion sensors detected the power surge. Zextar's eyes narrowed. They've activated it. All ships converge on the world ship. Disable its systems before. He never finished the command. Space around Legacy 1 rippled as its defensive grid activated. Shields unlike anything the Dominion had encountered snapped into place. Weapon systems came online, not crude energy. Weapons, but devices that manipulated fundamental forces. But Kenji, now linked to the ship's consciousness, saw a different path. Through the creation matrix, he perceived the quantum structure of reality itself. The Dominion's weather manipulation relied on energy fields that could be disrupted, reversed, even turned against them. Hold on, he told his companions, his voice resonating with new harmonics. Legacy 1 moved, not through normal space but by folding space-time around itself. In an instant, it appeared in Earth's orbit, positioned between the planet and the Dominion fleet. Kenji reached out through the ship's systems. The weather control fields shattered like glass, their energy absorbed and redirected. Storms dissipated. Earthquakes stilled. The aurora faded to its natural polar homes. Zextar ordered an immediate attack. Dominion weapons fired, beams of antimatter, graviton pulses, quantum torpedoes. They struck Legacy 1's shields and simply ceased to exist, their energy converted to harmless light. Then Kenji did something unexpected. Instead of attacking, he opened communications to every Dominion ship, every conquered world in their empire, every oppressed species under their rule. I am the heir of the architects, he announced, his words carried by the creation matrix itself. And I bring you a choice. Through the matrix, he showed them visions, not of destruction, but of possibility. Worlds transformed from barren rocks to gardens. Species lifted from primitive struggles to spacefaring civilizations. The galaxy as the architects had envisioned it, not ruled by force, but united in diversity and growth. The age of empire is ending, Kenji continued. The world ship will not be a weapon for conquest. It will be what it was meant to be, a tool for creation, for nurturing life and civilization. Join us in this new age, or return to your conquered worlds and free them, but you will not threaten Earth or any other world again. The power of the creation matrix made his words more than simple communication. They resonated in the quantum structure of consciousness itself, carrying truth that couldn't be denied. Across the Dominion fleet, something unprecedented happened. Ships began to power down their weapons. Some turned and left immediately. Others requested permission to remain and learn. On conquered worlds throughout the galaxy, Dominion forces received the message and began to question their purpose. Zextar stood alone on his bridge, his crew looking to him for orders. For 1,000 years, he had served the Empire, believed in its destiny to rule. Now, faced with power that dwarfed anything he had known, he had to choose. Finally, he spoke. "Stand down all weapons. Signal the fleet. The war is over." Epilogue 6 months later, Earth had become the center of a new age. The world ship, with Kenji as its pilot and humanity as its stewards, began the work the architects had envisioned. Barren worlds bloomed with life. Species separated by vast distances learned to communicate and cooperate. The Dominion Empire transformed from conqueror to partner, their advanced technology now serving creation rather than destruction. Zextar himself became one of the strongest advocates for the new alliance. Kenji, though changed by his connection to Legacy 1, remained fundamentally human. He worked with Elena, Reyes, and a growing team of humans and aliens to unlock the world ship's secrets responsibly. The architects were right, he told Sarah Chen during a visit to Titan Observatory. The greatest power isn't in the ability to destroy, but to create, to nurture, to help others reach their potential. Sarah smiled, looking at the stars through the observatory's great telescope. And we're just getting started. Indeed, across the galaxy, the age of empires was ending. The age of gardeners had begun, and humanity, unlikely heirs to the architect's legacy, would help tend the cosmic garden for generations to come. The greatest discovery wasn't the world ship itself, but what it revealed about humanity's place in the universe, not as subjects or conquerors, but as caretakers of a vast and wondrous inheritance. The stars beckoned, and humanity answered, ready to fulfill the destiny written in their very genes by beings who had seen their potential, millions of years before they could see it themselves.